Greetings and welcome to everyone around the world. Thank you for joining us for the side event of the 55th Commission on Population and Development, what we called Population Data for Action, a population data portal, and why we will take the opportunity today to officially launch UNFPA's Population Data Portal. Our discussion will go way beyond that. We're going to talk about data and the absolute imperative to utilize it if we're going to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. We'll discuss with leading data experts, for example, about the rise of geospatial data, the global data needs for development, and the national progress in strengthening the nexus of statistics, geospatial data, and national development planning. Interpretation is available in French and Spanish. Please access the interpretation via the interpretation function on the lower right of your screen. If you have any questions or comments, please post them there as well. My name is Sri Srinivasan, and I'm the former Chief Digital Officer of New York City and a friend of UNFPA. When we talk about data, we must make sure to never separate the numbers and locations from the people and stories they represent. Someone who knows this very well is Dr. Julita Onabanjo. Dr. Julita is UNFPA's Technical Division Director and has over 24 years of experience in program management, development, advocacy, partnerships, and leadership with UNFPA. Dr. Julita, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sri, and really warm, chilly, actually, greetings from New York. But on behalf of the Executive Director of the United Nations Population Fund, Dr. Natalia Kanem, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome you all to this launch event, Population Data for Action, a population data portal on the sidelines of the 55th session of the UN Commission on Population and Development. A very warm welcome to our partners from the governments of Indonesia, Malawi, and Somalia, and to our UN colleagues from the Executive Office of the Secretary General, the UN Statistics Division, and the WHO, all of whom will be speaking at this event, and we're just so thrilled. Indeed, today, UNFPA is extremely proud to launch the Population Data Portal. Population data are foundational for development, essential for locating those with the greatest needs, and key to guiding our investments to reach them and to include them. Today, an estimated 800 women will die in pregnancy or childbirth. And every year, an estimated 257 million women who would want to avoid pregnancy will still not have access to safe, modern contraception. Many countries across the world show remarkable progress in their path to universal sexual and reproductive health and rights, and we congratulate them. However, we do know that those national aggregate data are deceptive as they mask all manners of inequality. For example, in countries where female genital mutilation appears to be on the steep decline, there are districts where it continues to be as prevalent as it was 40 to 50 years ago. In countries where national average of child marriage or family planning statistics look extremely promising, they are still women and girls coping with extraordinary challenges and risks, and their vulnerabilities unseen. So the Population Data Portal for us is a lens to locate such inequalities and to really show up such vulnerabilities. On the northeastern border of Zambia, a 14-year-old girl named Alice is desperately resisting her fate as a child bride, knowing this will end her schooling and increase her risks of early motherhood before she has even emerged from childhood. For Alice, the fact that national averages in child marriage have declined in Zambia is small comfort because she lives in a district where it remains an expectation. The Population Data Portal offers us a window to Alice's life and what surrounds her. The Population Data Portal is designed to help us look subnationally, to examine the differences between districts or enumeration areas, and to really help governments and development actors locate communities where, for example, harmful practices continue to plague the rights of women and girls in even the the most progressive societies. The Population Data Portal is one of UNFPA's flagship products for delivering on our new strategic plan, 2022 to 2025, a bold and ambitious strategic plan designed to accelerate progress towards ending preventable maternal deaths, ending unmet need for family planning, and ending gender-based violence and harmful practices, including child marriage and FGM. Indeed, UNFPA, with its program presence in more than 155 countries, and I'm glad many of them are actually participating today, supporting government to improve sexual and reproductive health and rights, and also supporting the modernization of population data systems to ensure that all persons are counted, including through modern population and housing census and civil registration and vital statistics. The Population Data Portal, with its interactive dashboards, provides an internal home base for UNFPA's core population, health, and gender data. It also provides easy-to-use interfaces to manage and analyze these data sets, making them more broadly accessible to external users as well. The unique dimension of the portal is that it is designed to capitalize on the increasing availability of geo-referenced census and survey data, and to help us see and map the world at higher resolution. And indeed, we will get to see and show some of these functionalities today. And we continue to be excited at the prospects this version of the data portal and future versions offer. Also, why we're excited about the portal is that we recognize it is an important contribution to our UN Secretary General's data strategy for action by everyone, everywhere. The momentum to strengthen data across the UN system and as part of our common agenda being led by the Office of our Secretary General is transforming and transformation that UNFPA is committed to support and help make a reality. And so it's with that spirit that we're extremely pleased that as part of today's panel, we do have Priscilla Idele and Francesca Perusi, who will share more of the vision and plans of the overarching UN data portal and help us explore how a tool like the UNFPA Population Data Portal can contribute to the constellation of emerging UN data innovations in support of our governments in our common agenda. So together, our new data partnership across the UN and with member states offer hope to Alice, wherever she is living, that word universality is not only a buzzword, but a promise to help her achieve a safe, healthy, and prosperous future. On behalf of Natalia, again, we're looking forward to today's launch, as well as subsequent discussions and efforts to ensure that this new tool serves as a valuable global public good for our governments, the UN as a whole, and for Alice. I thank you, and back over to you, Shri.
Thank you, Dr. Julita, for so expertly connecting the dots and setting the scene for our conversation today. We have more than 100 people watching right now. Please tell us where you're watching from. We see we have folks from Kenya, Sierra Leone, New York, Jakarta, Johannesburg, the Philippines, Panama, Senegal. We'd love to hear where you're from, your reactions to what you see on the screen. Talk to us, and we will be bringing these experts who will share their thoughts throughout this session. And we also have Brazil and Jordan and Italy. This is so exciting to be with all of you this morning. Now, to officially launch the UNFPA's Population Development Portal, we will watch a short video that'll give you a small glimpse into what this platform can do.
Data for action. The Population Data Portal is your go-to place for the best available geospatial population data. The portal is brought to you by the United Nations Population Fund and its partners. It features data on over 200 indicators on population, reproductive health, and gender equality, providing a new resource for exploring national and subnational progress. Mapping is a core feature of the portal. displaying geo-referenced census and survey data to locate those furthest behind. Find out how many women have access to modern family planning methods in Myanmar. Which Pacific islands are most exposed to flood risk caused by climate change? Whether the census in Uruguay is on track, or how the level of wealth impacts intimate partner violence in Angola's Huige province. This information and much more are available on UNFPA's Population Data Portal. Whether you are already an expert or new to data, the Population Data Portal offers you multiple ways to access data. Browse through our user-friendly visualizations or take a deep dive into our databases to conduct analyses on new or historic data disaggregated to the smallest geographical unit. You can export, download, and print your data and maps throughout the platform. Only with robust data systems can we know who is left behind and work together to expand life-changing opportunities and guarantee rights and choices for all. At UNFPA, we commit to a world where everyone is counted, because everyone counts. Start your data journey with the Population Data Portal now.
I like that. Everyone is counted because everyone counts. So important. And I hope you enjoyed watching that video. It's truly impressive. And I'd now like to invite UNFPA's technical specialist, Mengjia Liang, to take a deep dive into the Population Data Portal with us and show us just how powerful this new tool is. Mengjia, thank you, congratulations, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Suri. So we have a growing number of resources nowadays while we are building the Population Data Portal. Well, the PDP is the go-to place for the core mandates of our agenda, the International Conference on Population and Development ICPD Program of Action, but also Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and their Agenda 2030. We benefit from progressive digitalization of population health data, which allow us to answer some of the most challenging questions, such as who is left behind, or where health and their development deprivations are the greatest. So in the population data field, where we are right now is the scattering of many population data sources. And what we aim to achieve is to harmonize a wide range of data sources and make them accessible to everyone, and for different purposes, such as tracking SDGs or ICPD, or integrating population data and geospatial data for research and programming. We work with leading data providers and the national statistical authorities, integrating and harmonizing data from household surveys, sample and full count censuses, global databases, and geospatial data. The PDP provides data for over 200 indicators that are core to UNFPA mandate, including population, sexual and reproductive health, and gender equality. These data are not only available at the national level, but also at some national level and disaggregated by age, sex, education, household wealth, among many others. So one of the unique features of the PDP is this geospatial dimension. Geospatial data include road network and their locations of health facilities, but also very importantly, boundary data. When combining them with statistical data at the lowest geographic level possible, we can better map those left forest behind, like Alex in our opening remarks by our Dr. Julissa. And the combining population data with service locations also allows us to better evaluate coverage. So this is a great example of Malawi. Please allow me to give a call out to Mr. Montali on the panel. Really appreciate the excellent collaboration with the office. So this is mapping population access to antenatal care service. We combine service location data, road network data, and population sensors to estimate the number of population located more than 20 kilometers to the closest antenatal care service providers. So now is the time for the demo. So the population data portal is already live on the UNFPA.org main website under the data tab right here. So when you come to this main page, after we come here, we can map the indicators. So this is our indicator selection dashboard. We could select the domains. For example, here we have family planning, and subdomains, we have country substitute use. We can select research any of the indicators, and select research any of the disaggregation you're interested in. The default level is the country level, but we also have 2 levels below the national level. So the map is here. We use the UN Clear map as the base map, which allows the visualization of thematic geo-enabled population content. And when we select a subnational area, we know that subnational boundaries can be complex. Therefore, we are part of the SELF program, which is the second administrative level boundaries that promote accessible interoperable geospatial data on subnational units and their boundaries. We could zoom into a country. For example, here, I'm going to type Uganda. We can click any of those subnational area. For example, this is West Nile. We see that in West Nile, only 4.2% of women aged 15 to 24 use any type of modern contraceptive. And this is from Uganda DHS 2016. By clicking here, we can change the color scheme. Or view the legend of this map. We know one of the most powerful feature for the maps is layering different types of data. So therefore, here we have an icon to activate different layers. We have already preloaded the population density layer. And here we could export the map. We can type the name of the map, MCPR map, and we can export those maps for your own strategic conversation, for example, those at the national level. So now I'd like to show you how to explore data by topic. So we could browse, disaggregate, analyze, and download data for over 200 indicators. And you can also conduct your own geospatial analysis here. We can either select the indicator by clicking one of the topics, or we can use the search bar by typing the keywords. For example, I can type woman 60 to 69. And select the data layers that interest you. And the portal also allows you to create your own map from here. So next, let's take a quick look at the thematic interactive dashboard. So for this launch, we have developed 11 thematic dashboards covering a wide range of thematic topics, from population and COVID to gender-based violence to population and climate change. And these dashboards assist us in answering a variety of questions. For example, what is the number of persons aged 65 and above in Abia, Nigeria? We can go to our COVID-19 population vulnerability dashboard. We can select the name of the country, Nigeria. And I want to draw your attention to the panel here, already showing the key statistics for the country or area that you selected. I can go to Abia. So we see that in Nigeria, Abia, the number of persons 65 plus is 269,000. let's come back to this, this page. So another question we can show is which province in Pakistan has the highest level of intimate partner violence? For this question, we can go to our intimate partner violence dashboard. We can simply go to Pakistan. And here we already see the subnational area as well as the subnational ranking for intimate partner violence for Pakistan. So the website is very user-friendly. You can translate to the language that you prefer. For example, we can go to French, and you can share the website through social media and with your professional network. So looking ahead, we look forward to working with other UN agencies and together contribute to our common agenda and SG's data strategy. But most critically, collaborating with countries to ensure that the best geospatial population data are available and accessible for evidence-based policy and programming, as well as to better support countries' population data needs. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and back to you, Thurin.
Thank you, Mengjia, for giving us this great demonstration, such a powerful tool that I know we'll all be wanting to jump in there and use. And we want to remind everyone, you can find it at pdp.unfpa.org, pdp.unfpa.org. If you forget that, it's right on the front page under the data tab. And that's the first and the item that you can see there. But we want everyone to wait and not jump in there directly, because we have a panel discussion with an incredible roster of experts on the topic of data. You're going to learn so much, as I am at this moment. So please do tell us where you're watching from. We have people who are watching from all over the world. It's just great to have your feedback and your thoughts. And we also already have some questions that are coming in. Howard, we see your question. And Mengjia is also on the line, so she can also jump in and reply as well. So let me start by introducing our esteemed panelists. We're very fortunate to have with us high-level panelists from the UN and national governments. Our first panelist is Mr. Sharmarke Farah, who is Director General of the Somali National Bureau of Statistics in Somalia. Our second panelist is Ms. Priscilla Idele, who is the Principal Advisor for Sustainable Development Unit, EOSG. Our third panelist is Mr. Stephen McFeely, the Director, Department of Data and Analytics at the World Health Organization. Our fourth panelist is Dr. Thomas Muntali, the Director General of National Planning Commission of Malawi. And our fifth panelist is Ms. Francesca Perucci, the Assistant Director, Statistics Division of DESA. Our sixth panelist is Dr. Ali Saeed, Director of Population and Labor Force Statistics, BPS Statistics, the Republic of Indonesia. And last but not least, we'll have with us Ms. Rachel Snow, the Chief Population and Development Branch of UNFPA. Allow me to welcome all our panelists. We are ready to kick off our session. So, as you may have heard from the intro video and demo by Mengjia, a key feature of the population data portal is the capacity to process and display geospatial data. As we mentioned before, geospatial data attaches a location to data, allowing data to be mapped and visualized across space. So let me start by asking a question of our panelists. What do you see as the main benefits of integrating geospatial and statistical data across the UN? So we'll start with Mr. Sharmarke.
Thank you very much. I think there are so many benefits, and I will speak about it much later. But the most beneficial form is it is cost effectiveness. It is especially in places that are hard to reach, and it is really efficiency is the most valuable form of it that I can say now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to Ms. Priscilla. Your thoughts, please.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And thank you so much for the team and everybody else that has worked so hard to put up the wonderful and excellent website that Menja has just taken us through. I think it's really a great resource. So, and who can't, want to have such beautiful presentation of data? And I think Menja already laid it out. Visual images are quite easy to understand as opposed to a range of or a series of data points. So geospatial data, as we heard from Menja, allows the users to see patterns by geography, by distance, by time. And for example, she already mentioned to us, we can identify disparities where they exist at the regional, even global or national and subnational level, how coverage of services is distributed relative to the population that needs to use them, how far they are, and how change has occurred over time if we have trend data to demonstrate that. For the UN, for example, having this type of information can enable us identify where there are those that are being left behind and how we prioritize where to invest our limited resources.
Thank you. I'm just reading some of the comments that are coming in. Congratulations to UNFPA for the data portal. Fantastic work, says Sainan. And thank you. We will offer e-learning course, thematic webinars, so much ways in which Mingjang's telling us how we can all continue to learn. And Irina says, congratulations to all. It's an amazing tool with tremendous capacity to support countries and stakeholders in evidence-based planning for improved lives for all. Well done. So that's lovely. Let's go to our next panelist, Mr. Stephen from the World Health Organization. Your thoughts.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. And first of all, huge congratulations to UNFPA on a magnificent product. I know how difficult it's been to get it up and running. So massive congratulations. So what are the benefits? Well, statistically, traditionally, we've tended to look at patterns over time. So we look at temporal patterns. By looking at things spatially, it gives us a whole other dimension to assess change. So it literally more than doubles the possibilities of every data set. Secondly, I think culturally, everything happens in space-time. Like every event in our lives happens in a place. So I think intuitively, we're plugged into space. So I think when we present data spatially, it's very, very intuitive. People understand it. And then I think the other huge benefit is that it naturally brings us subnational. Traditionally, statistics are constructed at a national level, and it's often been very, very expensive to move from national to subnational. So by moving to subnational and also moving subnational in a way that gives us flexibility. So because all of the data points are coded, it allows us to move what's called administrative space to functional space. And that's really important from a health perspective, for example, because disease doesn't respect borders. It moves in erratic patterns. So all of these together really bring huge, huge power to the data. They massively increase the explanatory power, but I think they massively increase the intuitive power of the data.
Thank you, Stephen. Alexander says, another innovation of UNFPA and influence decision-making of government officials of countries all over the world. And Milagros says, thank you, fantastic innovation. Let's go to Dr. Thomas from Malawi and hear your thoughts, Doctor.
Right, thank you so much. And I just also want to congratulate colleagues for this very exciting innovation. Listen, I think from the country point of view, for example, if you're looking at Malawi, we just launched our new vision, the Malawi 2063. And there it clearly says we want to develop a country that is inclusively wealthy and self-reliant. Now, if you're talking about inclusivity, we need to understand who is left behind. And in that regard, we are talking about the last decade of action. There is a lot of data that is sitting there, a lot of census. We just finalized ourselves in 2018 for the first time a digitally done census. And which means we have this data that is sitting that can help us to collect statistics, geospatial analysis, and socioeconomic indicators. And so having tools that can help us and portals like this really would help us as nations, especially as planners, where I sit as the National Planning Commission, to be able to talk to how best to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind. So I think it's very exciting from this kind of geo-analysis that we are seeing today. And the hope is that the planners, especially those that are in national planning ministries, are going to be capacitated. And I'm talking here of making sure that there is a lot more of data analysis and utilization. And I think now that you're seeing these visuals that are being utilized, even our politicians are getting excited because they know exactly where interventions can go. And we're hoping to also bring youths on board because the youth are keen in coming on board on innovative issues like this. So it's exciting for them to begin to look at data, play around with it. And in the process, we're going to inform policy decisions much better. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for talking about the importance of youth in this. They love data, they love visualization, so we know they will get involved in this. Soil Tuya says, thank you to the PDP team. It's a powerful tool to see those left behind and then make informed decisions to change their lives. And Sula says, congrats to UNFPA on behalf of the IPU MS International team. It is great to see the portal come to life with data from so many sources. Let's go to Francesca and hear her thoughts.
Yes, greetings everyone, and allow me also to congratulate UNFPA. Huge congratulations. This is an amazing, amazing, amazing job. Thank you. Thank you for offering this tool and to all colleagues at UNFPA who contributed to this. Well, as we've seen, the capacity to display and explore data through location-based visualizations and to overlay these different type of information is really amazing help to users, especially policy and decision makers to be able to understand the data and derive better insights. Map visualizations enable users to explore policy issues at different levels of geographic granularity, which is so important, and identify patterns, understand differences across various levels of geographical units. But when we talk about integration of geospatial and statistical data, I'd like to also remind ourselves that that goes well beyond the visualization and overlay of information on a map. Geospatially enabled data from surveys, censuses, and administrative data sources are much easier to integrate with other data sources, including Earth observation data, census data, mobile data, to leverage those new data sources that help us fill the data gaps and generate more statistics. So by integrating geospatial and statistical data across the UN system, especially if we use common geographies, we would not only be able to have an amazing ability to overlay information on map visualizations, but also to create the ability to analyze and slice data based on geographical location and pulling all these different data sets together, really getting at the heart of synergies and trade-offs, and potentially helping even identify correlations between different data sets. And I think we have already seen that with the brief demonstration that we had today of this amazing portal. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Francesca. Let's now go to Indonesia and hear from Dr. Ali.
Yes. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I must congratulate to UNFPA for the launching of the portal, and thank you, Ms. Meng Chia, for a very impressive presentation of the population data portal. I think the portal offers a system that integrates spatial data and provides a comprehensive description of objects and their relationship with other objects. And I think with the system data are managed and manipulated for comprehensive analysis purposes. And I think the availability of accurate geospatial information will provided by the portal will be beneficial for the decision maker, and also provide appropriate, efficient, effective, and communicative decision. And the next, I think the UN portal provides an interesting interactive tool to increase the understanding of the concept of location, space, population, and geographic element that exist on the Earth's surface. Thus, the portal has the ability to describe the elements that exist on the Earth's surface into several spatial data, and also has a very good ability to visualize spatial data. And I think from the presentation, I can learn, or we can learn and give the idea for the development for the Indonesia in the future, I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now I want to just go in a little bit deeper into some of these aspects, and we want to talk about the new GIS-based function offering for tracking, promoting, and advancing the SDGs. So let's talk about what you think about these functions and how we can make sure that we are using them to the best of our abilities. Let me just ask a question of Thomas, please, from Malawi. You have created some really exciting use cases by combining population and health data and mapping access to health services. Can you tell us more about those efforts?
Right, well, thank you so much, Sri. Actually, we had a very good opportunity to work with the team from UNFPA. There was the population census that I just mentioned that happened in 2018, digitally done at the first time, meaning that we also had geo coordinates. And at the same time, there was the PSA that was done in 2013. So combining the health facilities that we have across the country and being able to link with the data around the census was an amazing experience. I think we have had the Ministry of Health, the National Planning Commission, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning utilizing that information. Quite excited to find the Minister of Finance and Cabinet asking to say, where should we be putting resources around sexual and reproductive health? And it was very good to show them that, the geo-analysis that links to the statistics and the social-economic indicators around the family planning, the antenatal and postnatal care and stuff like that. And I think for the first time, we've seen an excitement around the policymakers on how can we make sure that we go beyond just looking at the health indicators, but we also look at other indicators. And I think, to me, this is the evolution that we should take advantage of as countries, because the more we are promoting evidence-based planning, the more of making sure that nobody is left behind is becoming a reality. The Spotlight initiative that the UN is implementing in Malawi does recognize now in their next phase to go into the areas that have just been identified importantly, this geomapping. So you can already see, and we want the youth that are getting excited. They are saying, can we have all of this data and start playing around how we can look at other socio-economic indicators? And I think this is the way to go. So I want to really applaud the UN, especially because the UNFPA for having working with us very closely. The issue moving forward really is to make sure that those capacities are really built in the national planning entities to make sure that they're able to work with the huge data that sits and all this information that that is with us. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I'll be asking Stephen a question in just a minute, but Yi had asked, congratulations on this milestone. Does UNFPA have a plan to localize inter-country context to help? Stephen, I think you're, maybe you could mute your, yeah, I think that there was a little bit of sound there. Does UNFPA have the plan to localize into country context or help country offices do the same? There's a question from Denmark. And Rachel, you had already answered it in the text, but it might be nice to just explain how you're going to be rolling this out.
Indeed, thanks so much. And thanks also for all the congratulations. I do need to note Stephen's comment that this has been long and hard. And we had no idea honestly, it's really as much the time that was going to be required to make mistakes and then fix and fix. So anyway, for those embarking on portals, it's intense and it's long. So we're very, very thrilled to be at this stage. Yeah, so that the intent already, we've rolled out to our regional offices and had very, very useful meetings. And indeed, even in the development stage, that was an opportunity to hear from national statistics offices in different countries about what they needed and wanted and what would be easy and what were the kind of triaged functions people wanted to see. Now that it's ready and it's launched, we've already committed to a first region, and then we'll progress through our regional offices again to be engaging with national statistics offices and staff to give webinars. And as I also mentioned, they'll be embedded in the portal in different locations, how-to videos to click. And I promise they'll be like 2 or 3 minutes only. So if you wanted to figure out, well, if I want to print something out on IPV and intimate partner violence, how do I do it? Those will be very, very crisp and very simple. So that's part of the rollout plan. And yeah, back to you, Sri. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Let's ask a question of Stephen at WHO. Your wonderful organization now has a unit dedicated to geospatial data. What are the synergies and opportunities that you foresee for WHO and for improving health sector data in particular?
Yeah, thanks. We're very excited. We're just, in fact, on May the 9th, we're officially launching the opening of our Geospatial Center. And I'd like to pay huge tribute and thanks to Rachel and her team, because they've been giving us a lot of help and advice on getting this set up. So huge thanks to them. So the reason we're doing this is that we see the spatial dimension, just as the other speakers have articulated. We saw this as a gap. And this was an area that we hadn't exploited and could bring huge benefit. So first of all, as I said earlier, disease doesn't move in straight lines. So just looking at growth in disease or decline in disease from a temporal point of view isn't enough. So we really want to look at where is it, so we can identify pockets, because I think the first speaker made the point that national averages can hide a lot. Just as global averages can. So what we want to be able to visualize it, to see, are there pockets? But then secondly, a point Francesca made, which is really important, is that if we put in the infrastructure to link spatially, then we can link data sets in a way that maybe we weren't able to do using traditional statistical methods. And oftentimes when you bring data together, the exponential benefit is much greater than you anticipate, because suddenly you see patterns when things are overlaid that you didn't see before, and suddenly you start to realize there's correlations that maybe there's no causation, or maybe causation is hard to identify, but nevertheless there's correlation, and it opens up new avenues of investigation. So for us, this is really, really important. Particularly, I mean, just recently, the first product that we've launched is a snakebite portal, which might sound trivial, but nevertheless, because of climate change, what we see is the habitat of snakes are changing. And because of that, health facilities don't necessarily have the right anti-venom, because new snakes are moving into their area. So by tracking the habitat of snakes and visually mapping it against the health facilities, we can then alert facilities to say that, look, you need to have the right anti-venom for a puff adder or something, because traditionally it didn't live in your area, but now it does. So it's a small example, but it's a real example of how data can then be applied to policy application very, very quickly. And you can improve the facilities available to people living in the area.
Thank you, Stephen. As someone who is terrified of snakes, I can see this is not trivial. It's so important, as with all the other statistics and data that you are gathering and sharing, as are the folks at UNFPA. Let's go in a little bit deeper to talk a little bit about how GIS technology is increasingly being used in both Somalia and Indonesia for data analysis. So we'll start with Mr. Sharmaki.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I think first of all, missed to congratulate UNFPA on this major milestone earlier. So a big, congratulations on launching this population data portal. And also really pleasure to be discussing this pertinent and timely topic and to be among distinguished panelists. Somalia was among the early adopters of GIS technology in population data, mainly because of the existing challenges that we face in limited funding, inaccessibility due to insecurity, remote and hard to reach areas, and also flooding. GIS has provided the most effective and efficient way of data production and analysis in Somalia. GIS was also key in the development and production of key data sets in Somalia. The first among them was actually GIS was used in the population estimation survey for Somalia that was carried out in 2013 and 14 with the support of UNFPA. The survey produced the first comprehensive estimates on the Somali population in over 4 decades. In the absence of census frame, new sample frames were built for urban, rural, and nomadic populations. Maps of urban and large areas were created using satellite imagery and used to delineate enumeration areas using counts of dwellings and households. High-resolution satellite imagery was used to validate the fieldwork. Also, high-resolution imagery was used to estimate the population in accessible areas through the counts of rooftops with adjustments made for urban and rural areas. And lastly, also on this point, Somalia has just launched last year its first full and housing population census, which is planned to be conducted in 2023. We are using GIS to develop detailed maps for enumerated areas, and really GIS is once again playing a critical role. In 2018, Somalia conducted its first demographic and health survey in partnership with UNFPA. GIS was used in building the sample frames for the Somali Health and Demographic Survey. Survey frame was built through the digitalization and count of structures in urban and rural areas using high-resolution satellite imagery, and enumeration areas were created based on these counts. Grounds accounts for dwellings in sampling areas were used to adjust final frame in GIS before the survey. During the actual enumeration, soft copy maps and digital enumerated area boundaries were also electronically shared with the field teams. This was more cost-effective and more time-saving, particularly in rural areas and non-rural and nomadic areas, as field teams did not have to wait for printed maps, and they did not need to navigate to the enumeration area using their coordinates. And now also GIS technology was used in the COVID-19 mapping, and it supported the Ministry of Health in mapping potential hotspots using location for buses, markets, densely populated areas with limited access to services. GIS was also plays a critical role in the humanitarian sector. It was used many times. A very good example of this is the 2018 flooding in Beledweyne, a major town in central Somalia, where hundreds were displaced. Among the entire town was also submerged. Using high-resolution satellite imagery, we were able to map the areas, the submerged areas, and use digital accounts of dwellings to estimate the population affected. Thereafter, the demographic characteristics was compared, the number of women, number of children, elderly, etc., of the population using previous survey. This enabled focused and timely intervention for the affected population. Finally, on this point, GIS is also used for monitoring population growth and movement using high-resolution imagery. For example, in the capital, Mogadishu, which is a fast-growing city with fluid, internally displaced population, using comparisons of enumeration and digitalized dwellings, the growth of town, as well as the movement of the population of IDP was possible through the use of technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Indonesia and to Ali. I think you're muted. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Maybe I would like to tell briefly about what has been done in Indonesia. Statistics Indonesia has been developing geospatial information systems since several years ago. And in this case, there are at least three purposes of the GIS development in BPS. The first purpose is that GIS is used to support census and survey activities by developing statistical master area frames or statistical working area, which is very important to identify the boundary of statistical areas of work, and also to take geotaking for the boundary and infrastructure landmark. And in the data collection process, GIS is used to help statistical field worker in identifying their statistical working areas, and also provide a supporting tool for geotagging to collect data on geographical coordinates, and also help live monitoring the progress of data collection. The second purpose is that GIS is used to support data analysis. GIS has been implemented for analyzing various thematic issues like presenting information on village potential, distribution of village infrastructure, population, employment, education, health, poverty, and other social issues, and agriculture also, and other sector of economy. And the GIS is also completed with information on the concept and the definition of each indicator presented in the GIS. And the third, GIS technology is also used for other purposes. For example, the GIS technology is utilized for calculating SDGs indicator 9.C.1, which is the proportion of population covered by a mobile network. We calculated the indicator using the geospatial approach and geospatial data, which are, first is the spatial distribution of people per 1 kilometer grid cell, and the second, GPS position of cell towers. That is, we use these two variables to calculate the SDGs indicator 9.C.1. And another example is that currently Statistics Indonesia has been implementing remote sensing and GIS technology for the classification of land cover in order to identify the potential of agricultural land. We collected more than about 3 million ground samples of the land cover using the Android application to collect the GPS coordinates. And furthermore, the data is processed by machine learning and generate the land cover map. And we realized the bigger opportunity of GIS technology for statistical activities, and therefore we will continue to develop this technology for various innovation. I think that's what I can tell to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now in the second block, we want to talk about UN and national connections. And I want to start by asking questions of Priscilla and Francesca. We now have different UN agencies developing data portals and platforms, and the UN Secretariat itself is building a UN data portal. What is the vision of how these different portals can support the Secretary General's data strategy? Priscilla, over to you.
Thank you again. I think that question, I will answer a bit of it, but my colleague Francesca, who is right in the middle of operationalizing that vision in a big way, would talk a little bit more. As we know, all UN data portals and platforms are aimed to advance this SDGs data strategy by making quality data publicly available, easy to access, and also to use. So for that purpose, all the data portals are designed with the users in mind and intended to integrate the different sources of data, as we have heard, including geospatial, and to make them also interoperable. So our big ambition is to see that day when all our data platforms will be talking to each other. And Francesca will explain that a little bit more. So as much as I know that our portals are intended to include data visualization tools, just as Menja has already expanded on what has happened with our UNFPA colleagues, data access options and data stories and insights in different ways, and also guidance and perhaps a platform where colleagues, member states, and everybody else can share their ideas and experiences. So we hope that this will be for the public, this will be for member states, this will be for researchers, for young people, and everybody else that needs to access data in one big place when we have the UN data portal operational. Over to you, Francesca.
Thank you. Yes, let me perhaps add a little bit to what Priscilla already very beautifully exposed. Really the vision we have is to provide that space where we can bring all these different UN data assets together. And the idea is really to position the UN as the center of excellence for authoritative, comparable, and high quality data. We sit on top of this gigantic offer of data from the different parts of the UN system. And we see really this is an opportunity to bring that value together. So the portal will ensure that, that the United Nations data assets are actionable and really meet the needs of users. And that is what is prioritized in the Secretary General's data strategy, as Priscilla was outlining. So, but we've seen that already many individual data portals or databases exist, as we've seen today, across the UN system, and they already offer high quality, relevant data on a wide range of policy areas. So the idea of the new UN data portal is really to provide a value added, to deliver higher value to users by bringing these different data sets together in an integrated environment so that they become interoperable and easy, so that the data become easy to be discovered, accessed, and used. So here I think the two key words are integration and advanced functionality. So we provide this integrated environment and the functionalities for all different types of users to be able to use the data. And the challenge here is really to provide functionalities that meet the needs of users, the technical, the more expert users, and the ones who do not necessarily know how to navigate this wide range of data sets. But how do we make that happen? Interoperable is a word that we hear a lot, but it's not so easy to really apply and implement. So we're planning to move away from the current data warehouse approach with highly centralized data storage and manual processes, and move towards what we call a distributed architecture with a federated data governance. That really means like agencies and the different parts of the UN system will become co-owners instead of being data providers, instead of providing data to a warehouse. So that UN data will create this integrated environment, but also enhance the visibility and accessibility of each respective data portals, like the one we've seen today, so that can become available to a wider community of users. And the distributed architecture will allow to continuously add new data sets, and will facilitate the search across multiple data domains with this integrated approach that will maximize the value of each data set across the UN system. But of course, the realization of this vision will also require a data governance framework in which all UN system entities and all other participating international and regional organizations share a common responsibility, and we all share, you know, our respective mandates and capabilities and integrate them. And we'll also need strong engagement between each of the UN entity with their respective constituencies to build this strong user engagement as it is required. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have some great comments coming in and also some questions. And Alexander has already asked a question using the Q&A tool. You can use that, or you can post in the chat. I'll just read some of the comments. Levi says, an exciting tool to use for youth-led data-driven dialogue and accountability. Looking forward to using it in the East and Southern African region. Sainan says, congratulations to UNFPA from the World Pop team at University of Southampton on its fantastic and valuable portal. Great to see data sets integrated with so many others here. We have about 15 minutes left and we have a lot of ground to cover. So there are going to be shorter questions for me and we'll go for short answers from our speakers as well. We're going to talk now about challenges and capacity needs. And we want to ask each of our panelists, what are the major challenges in promoting the use of data by the UN data, by more people, whether in the UN or in the general public? We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And also, if you're trying to give us some final thoughts as well, if you can wrap that up into this particular question of how we do this. And also from our national representatives, how can data portals within the UN support national needs? So we're going to go to each of our panelists and hear from them in detail about these thoughts as we start to wrap up here. So I'm going to start with Mr. Sharmake Farah from the Somali National Bureau of Statistics.
Thank you very much. I think this is a really good question. So I think data promotion within the UN and among the general public. So the first, among the UN, I think it is the biggest challenge is, I think it's kind of a structural issue. So I think a better coordination among, UN agencies themselves would really help. So I can see that there are, several UN agencies represented here. But I think that would be the first. The second is also building the capacity of national institutions so that they can generate the required data, which will be more effective, more efficient, and also sustainable. So I think those two are the most critical. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and we really appreciate your being with us here today. Let's go to Ms. Priscilla Idele, who is the Principal Advisor for Sustainable Development Unit at EOSG.
Thank you. Thanks again, Siri, and thanks to colleagues. I think our colleague from Somalia has mentioned a key critical point that I also had in mind. So within the UN, we've understood that there are many platforms, but sometimes we also have similar indicators within those platforms with different data points. So those inconsistencies also do create confusion among the users, and we are trying to see whether this UN data portal will solve some of those issues in differences. But even within UN agencies, our own departments sometimes maintain their own databases that vary from one department to another, and they don't talk to each other. So we have our own internal issues to resolve. Timeliness of our data. Traditionally, we have relied on a few data sources that are infrequent, particularly surveys. And we know that even administrative data systems are not all well developed across the many countries. Yet decision-making, as we saw within the COVID pandemic, relied a lot on timeliness, and we need more frequent data. So many users turn to alternative data sources because we are not able to provide that. And sometimes it's just the difficulty of access. A lot of our platforms have been very traditional with charts and bar charts and so on. And now we are slowly moving into more better data visualization with the users in mind. And we hope that that will improve the use of our databases. Our colleague from Somalia also mentioned about skills and capabilities for use. And we need to focus more on providing those skills and capabilities to member states so they can also have the relevant expertise that's needed to address the, to use the data. data sharing is a big thing. And that's why we have this UN data portal and hope that we can go along with some basic standards that can enable all our databases to speak to each other so that people can go to one-stop shop as opposed to, going to 20 different databases across the UN. So lastly, one point we didn't mention is about the collaboration and partnering with the private sector. As we move more into geospatial space and use of satellite imagery, I think there are now a lot of initiatives that are bringing the private sector into play because they hold large user data sets and they can also be able to support us in a long way for timeliness. And I know that the Data for Now initiative is one such initiative that Francesca is well involved in order to advance that cause. So let's remember that we have to work across and beyond the UN and not just within the UN. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Let's go to Stephen McFeely, the Director, Department of Data and Analytics at the World Health Organization.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think most of the challenges have been outlined by the previous speakers. So it's a range of technical, but there's also political challenges. It's a difficult conversation to have, but some countries do have data, but they're unwilling to share it. And I think that this is something we need to encourage countries. So as the UN, in the UN data strategy, has really highlighted the importance of open data and making data accessible to inform decision-making. We need to work with countries not only to improve the quality of the data, but to show governments why it's important to make those data accessible to everybody and not just to some cohorts. So for me, one of the underlying principles, so all of the discussion we've had so far has really been about technical issues, but I think there is a large emphasis too that we need to address is kind of political and really working with member states to understand why making these data available to everybody is really, really important. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. Let's go to Dr. Thomas Muntali, the Director General of National Planning Commission of Malawi.
Right. Thank
We might be having a technical issue. We'll come back to Dr. Thomas. Let's go to Ali, who is with us from Indonesia. Dr. Ali Said is Director of Population and Labor Force Statistics in the Republic of Indonesia.
Thank you. I think the most challenges that already mentioned by previous panelists today, that in my mind, I think it's similar with what Priscilla mentioned, that about data consistency. We have often identified that there is data inconsistency between those presented by NSO and UN. Just for example, in the Human Development Index, for example, the figures for certain components are different from those presented by SASIC Indonesia. And about timeliness, we also often find that data presented in certain UN portal are out of date. So maybe it is less interesting for the user because it's I mean, it's not the timeliness is not really well. And about the dissemination strategy, I think there are some possibilities of the UN portal could be embedded in the link of the UN portal embedded in the NSO portal, for example, because many people maybe access the NSO portal that can see directly the link of the UN portal in the NSO site. And what can data portal within UN support the national needs? I think what I can suggest is that the contents of the UN data portal may be enriched with other strategic indicators complemented with current available in the system, and by which the users can conduct comparison analysis between countries. Such integrated information, of course, will help each country to evaluate or review easily all data or indicators presented by UN, and also used for monitoring and evaluating the development progress in a comprehensive manner. I think that's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Dr. Thomas Muntali, Director General of National Planning Commission.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes. Yes, I can. Please go ahead. Maybe we'll turn off your video. No, we can hear you. Well, we'll turn off your video so that we can hear your very important.
Right. I just say that we do have a lot of sitting in countries, and what this portal has done is really to begin to help countries, and I believe that what the portal has done is to begin to help countries to use that data, because there's a huge data set that is sitting in countries. And so what is going to be key moving forward is to make sure that there is sensitization about the existence of this kind of portals. And as the others have already spoken, we need to ensure that there is talking to each other of these portals, and that we can have a one-stop kind of shop, and that these are known widely, that people are getting excited about what data is capable of telling. A storyline that a lot of us in countries don't know yet. So I do believe that we have a huge opportunity here as the UN to help countries to get the capacity, both in terms of knowing what data can do, but at the same time, being able to help those countries to utilize that data in ways that are so simple to understand and very easy to comprehend. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much for your views, and we are grateful to have you with us. We're going now to Ms. Francesca Perucci, the Assistant Director for Statistics Division of DESA.
Thank you so much. And many of the challenges have already been beautifully highlighted by the previous speakers, and I must say I agree with everything that's been said, but I'd like to mention two important aspects here. One, I think, is the fact that to fully realize the vision of the Secretary General's data strategy, we really need to maximize the value of the UN data assets. So we struggle because each part of the system, each entity has its own mandate and its own constraints and its own constituencies. So we need to really bring all these different parts together in an integrated environment. And that's the challenge, because of course we all have our own agendas, our own mandates, our own platforms. So we really need to get out of that and try to collectively think how we can integrate all these different data assets. And that, of course, is a big challenge, both for technical reasons and you know, resources and et cetera. But that's the vision of UN data. We're trying to do that and to create this space. The second challenge I'd like to mention is the fact that we don't want to forget that the data we have are the data that the member states produce, that the countries produce. So it's terribly important to continue to think and work in terms of what countries need and the capacity they need to continue to build, and also to strengthen and improve the data flow from countries to the international system. Because without that, what countries have remain invisible, or it's brought into the picture with much delay, or you know, the data are not fully utilized. So it's really important that we improve that communication and that data flow, and we continue to work with countries to improve their own capacity and to mobilize resources both domestically and internationally, so that they do have the data they need at the national and subnational and local level, as we've heard many times today, and that's terribly important. Over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished delegates, colleagues, friends. Thank you for your engagement today, and to our speakers and panelists. I am going to hand this now over to Rachel Snow and ask her about how the new data portal will help address these challenges, and also to provide closing comments. But I'm also going to ask her to address two questions that have come up and that we have been asked to all the panelists. This is a question that has come in from Belize. Due to COVID, funding has been difficult to attain in Belize, especially for acquiring high resolution satellite imagery. Is there a program which the Statistical Institute of Belize can apply for attaining this higher resolution imagery as we're conducting the census in May 2022. That is very soon. And we also had a question which was answered by Mengjia in the Q&A, but it'll be helpful perhaps for us to just address the general methodologies employed in the portal. Does it include population projections different from the data collected and maintained by government-created agencies? How do you handle that, Rachel? And over to you, and it's been an honor to be with all of you today. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Sri, and also to everyone who's been with us today. Let me start by saying it in terms of the Belize question. I think there's been a response already. Indeed, UNFPA has a long-term agreement with Maxar satellite imagery, and through that relationship, we're often able to get some more affordable imagery, but satellite imagery is costly, and that is indeed a challenge. I think I wanted to not only focus on challenges, only because I think other people have outlined those super well. I think I also want to underscore opportunity. And one of the big opportunities that we're facing, I think all of us, is that the census of the 2020 round is in most countries geo-referenced at a very high resolution. And that's kind of transformative. That wasn't true in the 2010 round. It's this round that country after country after country are going to have a certain granularity in their census data that is going to make it possible to do the kind of things like you see on this portal. So that's an extremely exciting opportunity for all of us. The second point I want to make is to speak to Stephen's comment about political challenges. And indeed, there are many governments in the world that are very understandably hesitant about releasing too much data in terms of census and others. What we are finding is that once governments actually see that we have their last available data, we quickly get a response. Oh, wait a minute, we've got newer data, and we're happy to provide a 10% sample of our census, et cetera. So I think part of this is the iterative process of governments seeing what's possible with the data they have in hand. And once that's visualized and accessible, then a much greater willingness and enthusiasm for joining the international community and making even detailed data widely available. Let me just close with addressing your last comment. National data, model-based estimates, different types of sources of data. In part of our effort is to make most of this available and extremely clearly delineated. So you can in fact find on the portal Andy Tatum and World Pop's estimates. They do their own estimates of the world population country by country, and at very high resolution. Those are accessible, those are useful and interesting. And the more data that is actually published by governments, the better all the models improve. So the source of the model-based estimates in the UN are the national estimates, as Francesca very nicely said. So I think that it's less about, well, this was the right or the wrong. It's really about making sure that the national data are featured, and then those inform and improve the model-based estimates that should be provided alongside, because they have their own indifferent power. Let me just, in closing and in thanking everyone, only say, bring us back to, I think, where Julita Onabanjo started, which is, this has really all been inspired by the leave no one behind approach of this Agenda 2030. And I think that, LNOB, leave no one behind, we're all familiar with it now, but it's really been an extraordinary transformation in terms of our approach. No more national aggregates are going to help us leave no one behind. We've got to get down to very local levels. Governments are decentralizing. Let's have our data decentralized as well, so that we can indeed fulfill that incredibly inspiring message that this is a universal agenda, and the UN is here for everyone. So we really look forward to working with Priscilla and Francesca and having this portal integrate with the UN portal. And I thank you so much, Sri, and to all our guests today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.